Hi everyone, and welcome to another Make and Take. This is Annie from Stamp Anything, and today we are going to do a fun memory decks type project. So this is the kit that you would have gotten. So we just want to check, make sure you have all your contents. Okay, so you're going to have your little paper flyer with your coupon code. You're going to have your Victoria Wanna Build a Snowman stamp. You'll have a blue tree-lined snowbank, a chipboard memory file type cutout base, some shaker bits of they're cute little baby snowmen. I don't know if the glare is catching that or not. This is the base to the snow globe with the little tag, and then you're going to have 2 white circles and 2 chipboard circles, and then you're also going to have a white tool circle to make the shaker. If that is not something you want to use, you can also, if you have a piece of acetate, you can substitute that. I just wanted to show people that if you don't have acetate, other ways you can make shaker cards. I know where I live, sometimes acetate in the craft stores are really hard to find. I end up usually having to buy it online. So I just wanted to show you an alternative of how you can do shaker cards, and that is by using tulle. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna put my stamp aside because we're gonna do the coloring later. So we are going to start with making some of our base here of our project. So the first thing that I want to do is take my memory decks apart, and I am going to take some hybrid ink. You can use whatever inks that you have. I just want it to look more distressed and have like a wood grain finish, so it's just not plain old chipboard. So I'm going to go grab that. You can use distress inks, you can use hybrid inks, you can use your dye inks, whatever you want to use just to darken it up a bit. So I just have my hybrid ink. This is Stamp Anything Pecan. And oh, you know what? I need to get baby wipes too. And I'm just going to drag the ink onto my chipboard. The lighter you do it, the more woody grain look you're going to have to it. Then if you apply too much of a pressure, and I'm just going to go over it to make a little bit more uniform, like so. This side got a little too dark, so I'll use that on as my back side of my memory decks. Let me just clean that up. So that is as easy as pie as that's going to be. And now I'm going to take a blending brush, and I'm just going to darken up some of the edges on, this is the base to the snow globe. Again, I just want to make it look a little more, I guess, antique-y and a little bit more distressed. Again, any inks that you have will work fine for this. So there's my little brown base. I have some glue, obviously, residue on my glass mat here, and the ink is sticking to that. Not so good. Okay, let me get another brush here, and then I'm going to take some blue. This is Caribbean Sea ink, and I'm just going to do a little on the edges of this as well, just so that when it's in the snow globe, it will give the illusion of some depth, so my card isn't just like paper on paper and it looks flat. This actually will differentiate your different layers, so it will look like you got some layers going on in there. And that is the inking part of my project here. Okay, so now you're going to need some super strong glue. The reason why we're doing now, shaker cards really depends when you're putting these together on your shaker bits. These are super flat shaker bits, so they're not going to add a lot of depth. I don't know if you can see the little snowman there. Okay, but he is really like paper thin. I have other shaker bits that we also carry that are chunkier. So depending on the kind of shaker bits is going to warrant how you put your shaker together. If you're using a lot of shaker bits that are chunkier, or if you're using ones that are like diamonds or little round balls, you're going to have to make your shaker stacker thicker so that the shaker doesn't catch when you're shaking it. This, because it's so thin, we don't have to do so many layers, which is why I chose this for the project. So you don't need your foam tape or anything of that nature, but on other shaker bits, you will need foam tape. Again, it just depends on what kind of shaker bit you're using, so just always keep that in mind. So I'm just gonna go grab my glue, and then we're gonna start construction on putting our shaker together. Okay, so what we're gonna start with is our chipboard circles. And you're gonna sandwich the 2 chipboard circles onto your globe base like so. So you kind of want to figure out where you want the overlap of your globe part to go, but you want to make sure that it's going to be enough that it's going to stick well. This is going to go inside, so it's okay if you bring it down a little bit lower, because that's going to get covered up. Oop, let me get it in this way to show you. If you went a little bit lower, it'll be okay, because you're not going to see the tip of your base here, because this is going to cover it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take one of the chipboard circles that's going to go on the back side. So if you look at your circles, there's stitching lines on them. That's how you know what's the top side. So you're going to want to flip that over so your stitches are on the back. And that's just so that when you turn it over, you know which way is which way. So we're just going to add, at this point, a little bit of glue to the bottom of our rim. Again, we're going to secure it better when we start adding our layers, but this again is just so that we can start eyeballing it and getting it centered into and how low we need it to be. So center it as much as you can on your chipboard piece here, and then you'll see on the back I didn't go too far down, just a little bit. Okay. And then you're going to have one of your white pieces. That is going to cover up the back side of your ring, just so it can look pretty on the back side if you decide, you know, for memory decks, just so you know, when you put them in your holder, you usually are just going to see the one side of it. But since this is going to have a shaker bit, you want kind of both sides to look nice. It's optional if you want. So just know when you're doing those, if you cut double of everything, you're going to mirror everything on both sides so that no matter which way your memory decks is facing in your card holder for them, it's going to look pretty on both sides. Okay, so we're just going to now take our glue here, and we're just going to add our glue to the outer rim of our circle here. And again, now if you were using different kind of shaker bits, you would be doing this in either foam tape or with multiple layers of chipboard to make the thickness of your shaker part thick enough to hold your bits. Now this glue dries clear, so I'm not even worried if some of it oozes out here and there, because it does dry clear. Okay, so there is the one side of our globe. now you're gonna have your tool, because we need to make our cover for this. If you have the acetate, you can do that with the acetate. The tool is going to be bigger than your circle. What we're going to do is we're going to glue it down, wait for it to dry, and then you're going to trim the excess off. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and adhere our glue. And don't forget a little bit on the base there. And now you're going to put your tool on top of it. And again, this takes a little bit of work because of the tool not having a ton of area to grab onto the glue. You can use double-sided tape if you wish as well. And you're just going to put this aside for it to dry, because we want to make sure it's on there good and secure before we add our other pieces. So we just need to make sure that is glued nice and secure. And you know what, I'll do the other one with the tape, so then you guys can decide if you'd rather use the glue or the tape. How's that? Let me find some double-sided tape just to show you the different options of how you can do it and see if you prefer one. Now, I personally hate double-sided tape on circles. That's why usually when I do shaker cards with circles, I'd rather cut 5 chipboards to because I really just hate trying to get foam tape and just tape in general around the areas, because I am not so good at going around in a circle like some people are able to control going around a circle better than me. So anyway, so let's just speed this up here so we can show you if you were to use the tool with double-sided tape instead of glue, you might prefer it. Again, it's just going to end up being a personal preference. I like the glue because I think it goes faster, because although if this was a rectangle or a square, I probably would use the tape with the tool. But yeah, no. All right, so let's continue this. Here we go. And tulle is really, really an inexpensive thing you can get at the store. You can even get the circles at the Dollar Tree type stores, and like by the wedding and baby favors. Obviously, you're not going to get a ton of them. Oop, that tape stuck to my fingers. You're not going to get a ton of them like you would buying them in an actual craft and hobby store, where you might get 25 to 100 in a pack. Or you could even just go to your fabric department and buy tulle or netting. Again, tulle is a smaller mesh than netting, so it would really have to depend on your shaker bits. Went off the circle a little here, so I'll fix that. Okay, so that's with my double-sided tape. We'll go ahead and we'll peel all the backing off of here. And again, I just like to give you guys options of different ways to using maybe supplies you have at home. So again, you could either do this with the glue like we did on the other one, or you can do double-sided tape, which we're going to do on this one, just so you can see which one you, that one I got to do from this side. See which one you prefer. Okay, we're almost done there. All right, so then you're going to take your other piece of netting and just lay that on top. It is going to adhere a lot quicker and easier than the glue one. So this one, obviously, you're not going to have to wait for it to dry. But we have it all nice and tuckered on there. And then you'll take your scissors and we're going to trim the outer edge away. My other scissors. Okay. And we're just going to trim the tool from the edge. And at this time, our other one should also be dry. And what's nice too about tulle is tulle comes in many, many colors. And even though, like, let's say you were to get a green and then you're like, well, because it ties in, say you're making a St. Patrick project or something. The green tulle on, when they're all layered on top of each other is going to look really, really green. But obviously when you have just the one layer of it, it is definitely going to look a lot lighter. So you can have a lot of fun doing shakers with tulle because it could also give you a hint of a color on top of your project, especially if you're doing not a see-through shaker, but one that has a background. So let's pretend the back of your shaker was a solid piece of white, or you distress inked it, or sometime when you lay it on, you would be able to see your tulle on top of that, which would be pretty cool. I'm just going to grab the other one really quick, and I'm just going to trim this as well. And I'm doing it from the top side so that I can kind of angle my scissors down and around that circle so I get as much of it cut off as I possibly can. And then, oh, down here. Oh, I didn't glue it very well there. Okay, we're gonna have to fix that. Sorry about that. Let me just finish trimming it as best as I can. It's hard to see because it is such a light fabric. Let me just, you know what, let me just use a piece of tape really quick on this piece that did not go so well. I just used a little bit of glue, but obviously if you do better than me and use a thicker part of, you know, more glue, you won't have this actually happen to you. But the trick with shakers is you definitely want to make sure you have no gaps like that when you're securing down either your acetate or your tulle, because a shaker bit can easily go off of there, so we don't want that. All right, so let's peel this off if I can get it. Peel it off. Just pieces of tape a little over the edge. All right, get that down there, and I need to just add one more little piece down where this was. And just cut. All right, so now we have our tulle there. Let me finish trimming it. Probably would have been smarter to do the circles first and then gluing it to the base, like how we did this one. Probably prep both circles that way first. All right, did we get it all? I think we did. Oh, this side right here is a little piece. Oh, that's extra. All right, so there's that. All right, so now you have, so eventually we're going to put this white piece on top of here as well, and that's going to go on top there. So now I'm going to take my glue on the back side of that other chipboard, because I am now going to add our white circle to it to make the front. So now you have your two shaker windows. Okay, like so. And again, you don't have to do it where it's going to be see-through if you don't want to. You can make this a solid background. So if you messed up on one of your tool circles because you've never worked with it before, just know that you can always turn that into a solid if you want to. And then these are going to lay like so. And we do need to trim this part of the tool here because it is showing under my other circle. It's a little too low. So let's see. That's better now. There we go. All right, so there would be our two circles. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab some of your snowmen and you're just gonna very lightly pour some in. You don't need to use the whole bag. You got plenty so that you can make more shakers if you'd like. Okay, like so. And then we're going to glue this on top. So we're going to take our glue once again. And you want to make sure you get a good seal of that glue so you have no little pocket for anything to escape. And we're going to go ahead and lay that on top. And you can add as many or as, oh, I forgot to add our freaking snowbank. Crap. Rewind. Don't do what I just did, folks. Let's add our snowbank. Put that to the side really quick. Ooh. See, it helps when, oh, sorry. Taking my snowbank, and since we already got the glue down, not a big deal. Just glue that there. And now, sorry folks. There we go. Now let's glue our snowman onto it. Alrighty. And then you can see the snowmen shake freely in your little dome here. So there is your little snowy globe. And then this is the, well, we'll put that on at the end. Here is our chipboard piece that we are going to glue to our memory decks. We're going to put it a little bit off center because we still have to put our little girl on here as well. So if we put it a little bit off center, like so, maybe even just a little smidge of butting it up to the end. So what we're going to do, so I'm just going to take some double-sided tape and put it on the very bottom edge. Like so. Let me see if I can get 2 rows of tape on here or not. Let's see. No. All right. So we have this row of tape here. Okay. And then we are going, and you don't want to cover your the memory, the cutouts of your hole. So just lay that on top of where they would be. Just make it as straight as you can. Get that in nice and well. Okay. And then you have your little gold, like you know how they have like the little plaques on snow globes that might say, you know, #1 dad or winter 29 or whatever it might be. And you can write right on this if you want to do a date or something of that nature. And we're going to put that in the center of the base of our snow globe plaque, like so. Get those snowmen back up there. We go. And then we're going to go ahead and we will start coloring our little girl. And when we're done, we will be adhering her off to the other side. And then you'll have a cute little memory dex card to put into your holders. I personally, when I do them, I like to double everything up, and I would usually cut. Now, this is an older stamp. Our newer stamps do come out with outline dies. I had a hand fussy cut. But if I was doing this with one of my newer stamps, I would stamp her out and cut her out, and then I would also cut another base in the thicker chipboard to put on the other side of her, just because for the Memory Dex albums, I really like for them to kind of be sturdy and chunky. So what I did is I just went ahead and cut out multiples of her as best as I can so that I can layer her to make her thicker. Again, that's just my own personal preference. You do not have to do that. If you're not into Memory Dex cards, or if you're doing them for yourself and not sharing, and you don't got to go crazy trying to make them sturdy for your friends' books, that's 100% okay. But so here is the start of our shaker Memory Dex. You still have plenty of snowmen left over. We're going to put that aside, and we're going to start on the coloring. Okay, so now we're back, and we're going to start coloring our cute little snow girl. And we are going to use one of my go-to skin colors. So we are going to be starting with our 𝐒𝐿4. Let's see if I can put that there so you can see it. And we are going to, now she does not have her arms exposed, her neck exposed, but she does have a little bit of her shoe, her leg under her jeans here, and then her face. So we're just going to really quickly just do a little bit of her on her skin, on her shoe. So that's 𝐒𝐿4. Then we're going to go to our 𝐒21 and just start blending out the skin. And then I'm going to go to my 𝐒02. It's a very small area, so we're not going to go too crazy with details in this little area. We'll do more when we get to her face. Okay, so nothing crazy on there. So let's just start on her face now. Again, we're back at our 𝐒04. We're going to do a little shadow where her ears are at. And then we are going underneath her hairline on both sides of her head, and then down the sides of her face. That is our 𝐒04. Now we're going to go in with our 𝐒11. And you're going to go over, I'm trying to make sure I don't cover what I'm trying to show you. That oops, sorry, hit the camera. Our 𝐒11 is going over the marks we just made with that 𝐒04, but extending it out a little bit further, starting to get that blend of the two colors going. So you're on top of your last line, but bringing it out. And that is the whole trick with the whole skin. And you're going to repeat this with all of the colors. Next, we're going in with our 𝐒21. Go over the colors you've already done and extending it out further. But now when you get to that 𝐒21, you're by these eyes here. You're going to want to start curving around the eyes so that you can leave the white around her eyes. Now we're going in with our 𝐒00. And I'm actually going to finish off her ears at this point. because they're small. And with my 𝐒𝐬𝐧, I'm going to go down further than I had with the other colors. But what I'm going to do here is really start concentrating on going around her eye, keeping that white area and keeping it as evenly white around the whole thing as you can. Some people will do this with a pencil first, which is fine because your marker will pretty much cover up the pencil as the ink starts to absorb into your paper. You just have to use a very, very light pencil mark. Okay, and then there is our 𝐒𝐬𝐧. And now we're going to start with some cheek color. So I'm taking my R21. And now because I started that curve around here, it's easier for me to add in some cheek colors for her. And I'm just starting on the up side of her eye. I usually start where that bottom eyelash is and then start to bring it around the curve. And then I take my R20 and go over what I just did. But this time with the R20, I'm bringing the cheek out all the way. So the darker pink is on the top and then it's fading into the lighter. Then you're going to go back with your 𝐒𝐬𝐧 and you're just going to fan off that pink towards her mouth. And that just blends the pink into the fleshy color. And then you're going to take your 𝐒𝐬𝐧 and pretty much just fill in the rest of her face. Okay, like so. Now, if you're looking at her, you're probably thinking, well, she's kind of a little blotchy. And that is 100% normal. I can see on myself where the blend right here is not so well. That's because you only did the one color, so the paper is not 100% saturated, as it will be when you do a second layer. So we're going to just repeat the exact same thing that we did. So we're starting again with our 𝐒𝐬𝐴, and we're going around the sides of her face and under that hairline again. And this is a very thin line that you're making with the 𝐒𝐬𝐴. This is just to give that hint of the shadow being there. And don't forget her little ear. And then you're going to go in with your 𝐒11, 𝐒11, going over what you just did. And you'll also be able to see by doing this second layer of color, you should see that your colors are a little bit more vibrant, and that's because you're adding in that second layer. Don't forget the ears, because I always forget her ears. And now your paper is going to be more saturated so that the ink is going to take to it better. So now our 𝐒21, and again, you're just following what you did in your previous coloring. And now our 𝐒𝐬𝐧. This is the one, well, let's finish her ears before I forget. This is the one you're going to bring down further into her forehead type area. Okay. Now I don't have to redo the 𝐒𝐬𝐧s on the face like I did because the pinks are there now. So I'm just going to copy that with the pinks again. So it's my R21 from that bottom eyelash halfway around her cheek. Bottom eyelash halfway around that cheek. And then my R20. So over the whole thing. And then extending out towards that mouth, like so. And then back with your 𝐒𝐬𝐧𝐧𝐞, fanning out the edge, and just the edge. Don't go over the whole pink area again, because then you're going to saturate that color, and then her rosy cheeks aren't going to be so rosy because you'd be adding another beige color on top of it. And then finally our 𝐒𝐬𝐧𝐧𝐞, blending out and getting the rest together. And now when you look at it, you'll be able to see that your blend is more smooth, and you'll see that the back of your paper is more saturated. And that is her skin. Okay, now we're going to begin her hair. And we are going to be doing a blue-black combination. So we are going to start with our 𝐵𝐺02. And I am just going to randomly place, well, I guess not randomly, in the center of all of her hair sections, squiggle in some blue color. This is going to be the highlights of where that blue-black color is going to hit. So you want to treat each part as its own little section. So if you're looking just here at the bangs, I did the middle section there, middle section here. On the back of her hair, you see her part. So I'm considering that as a section, and then that as a section, and then her little pom-pom buns. So that is my 𝐵𝐺02. Next, I'm going to take my, let's see, where is it? I'm going to use my Cool Grays. And I'm going to start with my C10, which is my darkest color. And because we're going to be going dark to light with these colors, you want to use short strokes with your darkest color, and then each one you're going to extend out further and further towards that blue. So you don't want to take this C10 and make long strokes all the way through. You just want to make little strokes. And it's okay if it doesn't reach the blue at this point, because your other colors are going to be reaching the blue. This is just so you can start putting in your darkest colors, and these should be very, very short little areas. Our goal is going towards the middle. So you don't want to put your darkest color too far along, because then you're not going to have your highlights the way you want if you make them too long, because then there's nowhere else for your lighter colors to actually go and to create that. So you just want to use very, very short marks and laying down where these colors are going at this time, and sparingly. Okay. So they're very, very short marks. Flipping her over so I can go this way as well. And that is our C10. Now we're going to go in with our C7. Okay. And we're going to go over the C10 that we just did, but extend it a little bit further. Again, the goal is not to cover up all the blue at this point. We're bringing these layers into the blue, like so. And you'll start to see when we bring in the 5 and the 3, how the blue really will show through more. So you can see we're filling up more of the area, but we're still got a big chunk of that blue showing, which is what we want at this point. So we're just going to continue. So this one is still considered a pretty short stroke, but it's not as short as your C10. Each color is going to have a longer stroke as we go from the dark to the light. Try to angle it so you can see here. Okay. Like so. That was our C7. Now we're going to use our C5, which is C5. And again, we're just going to start going towards the center. And now you'll be able to see that when you start adding the C5, it tones down the blue. It just, because the C5 is not a very dark color. And the same thing's going to happen when you do your C3. So this is just going to help take some of that brightness out of the blue, because, well, nowadays people might have blue hair because it's like a trendy thing to do, but pinks and blues and greens, but back in the day, not so much. It was more like that was your natural highlight if you had blue-black hair. So now we're going with our C3. And this one you can pretty much do from tip to tip and going over. And it's just going to tone everything down. So you basically, with your C3, you can go over from one edge all the way over to the other. It's also going to help blend any harshness you have from your grays, soften them up while toning down that blue. And there is her hair. Super cute. Now, if you want to have more of the blue showing, you can, and this is optional. Sometimes I do this. It just depends on the mood and what other colors I'm doing. I will go back with my BGO2 and just hit those blue areas again, just to brighten it up a smidge. So you can do that as well if it's something you'd like. And that is all there is to her hair. Okay, so now we're going to do her little jeans, and we are going to be using B99, B97, B95, B93, and B91. That's a lot of markers for a small area, but for the most part, your B91, which is your darkest color, is really just going to be doing the layout for those dark areas of where you want the folds in the jeans to be. And I'm just going to make it where her knee would fold in on the jeans. So nothing crazy there. Next, we'll take our B97 and we're gonna actually just go over what we did and extend it just a little out. Not much. Again, these are a smaller area, so you don't want to start making your colors go out too far. It's better to start slow with littler lines on your first layer, because you can always go back on your second layer and extend it out further if you need to. Now I'm on my B95. And you can see we're extending it and blending it as we go. Our B93. And now we just have a little bit of slither of that white left on the pants for our final color of B91, which is our lightest color. Okay, and there is a really pretty combination for denim jean. Now I am going to go back. I think my B99 is a little too harsh, so I'm going to do a little shadow under the jacket and bring it down a little bit more, like so. And with my B97, I'm gonna really try and blend that harshness out a little bit more. So now, because I had that first layer on, I can see how far out my colors were. So I know not to go too far out while trying to really get a good blend on these colors. Okay, just start blending it further and further out. And now those lines aren't as harsh as they were on my first go round. And those are her jeans. Now I did go out of the line a little bit here, so I'm going to take my colorless blender and just push that color back in. And there we go. Ooh, there we go. I forgot to do her tongue, so I'm just going to go back to one of our skin colors that we had, which was our 𝐒𝐿4. And I'm just going to darken in her little tongue with that. And then also take my colorless blender and remove some of it on the side so it gives it a bit of a highlight. Okay, so now we're going to start in on her jacket, and I'm going to keep in the blue tones with the blue families, but a different set of colors. I'm going to be using B06, B04, B02, and B01. So with my B06, I'm going to start coloring in. I call this a puffy jacket. I live in Florida, so I have no winter coats, so I don't know anything about winter coats, but I call this a puffy jacket. So I am just going to start, let me change my angle here if this one's better, laying in these shadows on the puff of her sleeve. That was with B06. Now I will go in with my, what is this, B04. And I'm sorry if it's a little dark in our video. I am filming this during the tropical storm is starting to come through. So my house is a little bit darker than normal. Here is our B02. Her tropical storm Etta, I believe it is, right now. So this is our B02. And then finally our B01, just to finish it off. Now for me, that's not enough contrast with shadows, so I'm going to go back with my B06 and do it a little darker again here. But I'm going to skip my B04 and go right into my B02 this time, just so I can soften it a little but not blend it out, because I really want there to be some depth in that color. And then here is my B01. And I like that a lot better. Okay, so now we're going to go in again with our B06, and we're going to finish up her jacket in the same way. We're going to go over these little puffy areas in her jacket. Don't know what else to call them. Okay. Then we're going to go down the center. Basically, you're just copying on the lines that are already drawn in the stamp on this. Now I'm going in with my B04 because for the first layer we do need that color to be blended out, and then when we go in with our second layer we will skip this marker like we did in the arm, but you need it the first time around because it's going to help with that first blend so it's not stark. Now our B02, going over what we already have in there. Not much on this side. And then our B01, just pretty much filling that in. Okay. And now back so I can get more of that depth in that I wanted, but now I'm not going to go over everything again. I just really want it to pop in certain areas where I think the shadow is going to be. So I'm not going to follow all the lines again, but just a few here and there of accents. And then skipping that B04 and going straight into the B02 to blend it out. And then that B01 just to smooth it a little more. And there is her cute little puffy jacket, as I like to call it. Okay, and then we're going to also give her a matching headband using the same color. So we're going to take again our B06 and we are going to flick from the edges towards the center of that headband. Like so. And then that B04, you're going to go over the same thing and just extend it out a little bit more, but not too much. And now when it comes to flicking, some people like to flick towards them, some people like to flick away from them. It is not a right or a wrong way. It's whatever way you are comfortable with. The one that is going to give you the best flicks is the one that when you're either pulling away and lifting up or pulling towards you and lifting up, the one that gives you the best look. And that's all flicking is. It's a thick going to a lighter, think of your eyelashes, you know, it's thicker on your actual eye part and then they kind of fan out. That's how flicking is. Flicking should be thick on the bottom and then they fan out thinner towards the top. So that is all basically you're going to do. Again, now I'm going to skip that second marker and go right into my B02 just to smooth it out. And then finally my B01, connecting it. And there is her little headband. So now our girl is all colored. Oh, we forgot a section of her jacket. This back arm here. How did that happen? Let me just quickly color that in. Missed that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we have that. Now I'm not gonna go crazy with the snowman. I'm just going to grab YR07 and just color in his little nose. I'm not even going to be shading anything crazy on it. It's just going to be YR07. Any orange marker you have, you can use. Okay, it makes absolutely no difference. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take that B01 and I'm going to use B01 and my colorless blender. And I'm going to make white using blue. You can also do this with your cool grays, but since my whole theme here is kind of blues. I wanted to keep it in with the blue tone. And I'm only going to do this on one side of the snowman. So I'm going to turn this over so I can flip. And I am just going to add a little cast of blue on the side here and on the side here and a little under the scarf, and then a little bit of a blue cast on his face. And that's really as much as I'm going to add. I just want to have it in a hint of it having color. Then you're going to take your colorless blender and you're just going to go over, especially on the edges here, and just, it's going to soften it all up for you. And the colorless blender, when it starts to react, some of it is going to get pushed back in to where it was. And that is just so it has a hint of the blue. Now you can do it on this side as well, but I just wanted, you know, like I said, I just wanted to have it as a hint of the color there. And now I'm going to go back to the colors that we used on the jeans to do the hat and the scarf. So we're going to take my B99 and I am going to add a little wrinkle, a little fold, whatever you want to call it. Again, remember, I live in Florida. I've never worn a scarf in my life. And just add some folds in there and then down the sides. For that is your B99. Then my B97, I'm just going to go over and extend it very little because these are kind of actually pretty close in color. Okay, and again, just like how we did on the jeans, after you do that first layer, you might notice that you need to go back, and that's totally fine. This is our B95 now. And now I'm just going to start pulling in towards more my center. My B93. Leaving a little bit of a white area to then blend out with our B91. And I almost never ever like what I do on my first layer, shading wise, because it's just, I'm able to see it better of what I want and what I need and how I want my blends to read. So I'm just gonna go back and fix B97, I'm sorry, B99, now my B97. My B95 is when it starts going towards the center more. My B93. And then finally my B91. And I like that much better. Also, we can also give cheeks to our snowman too, like we did with our girl. So if we take our R21, we can just put in a little bit of pinky there, and then our R20. Did I say it was our R21? Yeah, I did. Sorry. Now our R20, going over the cheeks, and then again, you're going to take that colorless blender and just go over it. It's going to push out the ink. It's going to lighten the edges and kind of ooze it out a little bit more. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, so now let's go do his hat. Now his hat I want to do a little differently. I'm going to do the dark rim on the bottom and then the lighter on the top. So I'm just going to take my B97 and I'm just going to use my B97 and I'm going to color a good portion of it in with the B97. I'm sorry, B99. Now my B97. Like so. and then your B95, just to transition it from the dark to the lighter. Then I'm going to take my other two Bs, my B93 and my B91, and that is what I'm going to do on the top portion of his hat. So that is my B93, and then my B91 to finish it off. Not enough contrast for me, so I'm going to go back with that B93 and then just soften it there. And then for his little pom-pom on top, I'll just take that B99 and just give him a solid little ball on top. And now our little girl is all done. She's all colored up. Okay, now that we have our little girl colored up, we're going to go back to our memory decks that we had put aside, and we're going to be able to put her on to it. And I'm going to put her on with some foam tape. Let's see if I can find where I put my foam tape. And we're just going to put her off to the side again, and make sure you do not cover up your holes. So you want to, and again, since she's not going to be hanging on to everything, you're going to want to make sure you know where you're placing your tape or your glue or whatever it is. And I don't have my foam tape handy, so I guess we're not foam taping her. We're just going to regular tape her. Okay, so I'm going to eyeball it. I know it's from around this part of the circle. Whoop, it's got stuck there. Okay. And I might even, let me put one little piece even on this tulle area netting, because she's going to cover up part of that too. Let me get those snowmen out of the way. Save the snowmen as many as you can, right? Put that there. And see if I can't even grab it here. There we go. All right. Stick it. And then we're just going to, like I said, kind of eyeball her off to the side, making sure her head is even to the end of the card, because if you make this to fit, I made this a standard size. Some people have bigger boxes if they hand make their own memory decks holders. And there we have it. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of glue for her feet area here. Just put a little feet there so that her feet are then now attached as well. Okay. And there you have your cute little memory decks snowman shaker. You could always tie a cute little ribbon or a bow on the top or some twine. Again, if you mess up with your tool or you don't want to use the tool, you can replace that with the acetate. If you want to only do it one side, you can adhere instead of tulle on your second circle. You can just add solid color paper to that. There's so many different ways you can do these. Again, if you're putting them in a box that you're trading or you want for display, you might want to finish off the back so it's clean either way you see it, which would, I know it didn't come in the kit, but I would have cut out another one of those, so that covers that, another one of these, and then my girl to go on the back too, so the back side's just as clean as the front side. That is all just a personal preference thing. If you display them or give them away. That's just totally up to you. But, oh, we can actually glue a little piece of her head on this part as well. So let's just put a piece of, there we go. But basically, that is your memory decks shaker. People use memory decks for journaling, for swaps, for all kinds of different things. And now you know how to do them with tulle if you don't want to use acetate. It is a more inexpensive way to make shaker cards if you make a lot of shakers. But again, our shaker is a very thin shaker because our shaker bits were thin. If I use chunkier ones, these are usually, they could be quite high. So just keep all of that in mind depending on the shakers and what you're making them. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed my little demo, and thank you for joining us at another Mega Make and Take, and I hope you guys have a brilliant day. Bye.